Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's video challenge. My name is James Bonanno, and I am super excited to have you here for this tutorial lesson that we will be going over for the next 30 minutes. In today's tutorial, we will be talking about overlays in Adobe Premiere Pro, how you can use some really cool light leaks, film grain, dust and scratches, all the really unique effects to just create a really cool cinematic look for your videos, for your films, for your reels, all those sorts of things. So very, very excited to get started. And please make sure for those that are watching to hit the little link in the description below. That will be where all these source files are for this tutorial so that you can follow along at home or you can work on it in your spare time. So make sure to download all those source files as we hop right into Premiere Pro. So let's get started. All right, so before we get in here, I just want to kind of quickly the project file that I've set up is a little bit more complex than what we're going to probably be able to get into today. But the most important thing that I want to discuss is how to add some of these overlays and different assets that I've collected and created over the years to just create something that has a more like vintage look to it. And what I wanted to do for this video is create that look through a lot of the film that I've been shooting this year. I'm also a photographer, so I've gotten really into shooting 35mm film. So I thought that this video would be a really great way to showcase some of that work as well as using these overlays. So I'm just going to play back the first like 5 seconds so we can see what we're doing. And then what I'm going to do is rebuild those 5 seconds here in this tutorial and show you how to use these overlays to create a really cool piece. So let's just start from the beginning here and let's play it back. Awesome. So as you can see, a lot going on in this really, really short 14 second video. And I think a lot of that is attributed to using some of these stacked overlays that you see in this video. So a few of the things we can see immediately is this really, really cool, like super 8mm frame. And if I click and toggle the track off, you'll notice that that goes away and we just have our standard kind of 16:9 frame right here. So immediately in adding that overlay, we've created something that looks almost like an old super 8mm film. And a lot of these assets, I have included them, of course, in the source files, but these assets have been sourced through YouTube, through Etsy, through, in some cases, Adobe Stock has assets like this. So you can kind of create a collection of different overlays that you can use for projects in the future. Um, We'll also notice that right above this super 8mm film, we have a little light leak, and I have that kind of going throughout the video. We have a few dust and scratches, which you'll see sort of throughout this video. So a lot to add and a lot to kind of overlay. So let's get started. Let's actually try to build as much of this as we can live here on this tutorial. So we have our project window here. I have everything organized: film photos, Foley, music, and then our overlays. So if I toggle this down, you'll see I have all of these overlays set. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Command N, and that's going to bring up our new sequence. We're just going to create a new sequence and call this overlay video. Again, I'm going to just set this to 1920 by 1080, and we're going to press OK. And what I've done here is I've shot a bunch of this footage already. So if you come in here, I've already created some in and out points on the footage that I actually want to use. So to save us some time, I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to grab this first clip because I think it's a really nice way to start and get us right into our piece. So we're going to drag this in. You'll notice it's zoomed in because I shot this in 4K. So since we have a 1920 by 1080 timeline, I'm going to come in here and right click, and we're just going to set that to the frame size. And now we're good to go. Okay, so our next clip here, we have me opening the back of the film canister. And again, I think the best way to work with overlays is to build your timeline, build the sequence that you want first, and then build on top of it. It'll get a little bit cumbersome and confusing if you try to immediately start working with overlays and then you change clips later on. So I like to do all of that as kind of stacked on top of my timeline underneath. Okay, so we're going to come in here. We're going to grab our next clip, which I believe is right here. This is me opening the canister. So we're going to drag this in here. And I didn't record any audio on this clip, so I'm just dragging the video. The audio could be dragged separately, or if you drag this whole clip, you'll drag both in together. So same thing, we're gonna set this to the frame, and we're gonna just do this pretty fast because I've already, like I said, I've already gone and created this, and I really wanna get to the overlay part of this tutorial. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this clip here. We're gonna paste that right next to it. And now we have a nice little combination of clips. I'm going to cut this clip down because all I want is that sound or that part where I'm actually pressing the shutter. I think after that. So let's go right there. And that's even a little too long. We're going to come in here. Command K is going to cut our clip. We'll just close the gap here. All right. Make sure to save your project. You do not want to lose the hard work we're getting into. Okay. And then I'm going to go back here to my other mode. I'm going to grab these two clips and I'm going to put them next to each other because, again, I've already done this. And these assets are great for you following along at home because you can just create whatever you'd like. There's a lot of really good assets in here, some film photos, some overlays, and some footage that I've shot of this camera. Okay, so now we're starting to create a nice little sequence here of me, shooting the camera, opening the back of the film, taking out the canister, and pulling the actual film strip. And let's get one more clip in there, which I think will look really nice. These two clips here. And you'll notice that I've actually added some sound design to this, which I would like to try to get to at the end of this tutorial as well. All right, so now we have about a 7-second sequence here that if we play back, we have our clip. It's going to render back a little bit slowly. This footage is certainly a little bit higher quality. It's on a cinema camera as opposed to some of the footage that I've shown in our previous tutorials. So the proper way to really edit to this is with proxy files, but following along in this tutorial is a little bit more difficult to proxy before we get into the edit. So we're just gonna render this all at the end. Okay, so let's say that we are really happy with this sequence and we want to start to add an overlay to it and just kind of get that vibe started as we continue to edit the rest of the film photos into this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my my little project panel, and organization is key. I cannot stress it enough. It really helps the more complex your projects become. So I make sure to organize everything by the assets I'm using. And in here I have overlays. So I'm going to come into overlays, and if we click on Super 8mm film, you'll notice that it doesn't actually look like we initially saw it because this is the asset that I had downloaded. So it looks really, really cool, but we want to make sure we blend it to our footage and overlay that asset on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this entire clip right on top of our sequence that we've already created. Okay, and I'm just going to close this. And okay, what are we looking at? This looks cool, but what happened to all of our footage? Where did it go? So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click on my Super 8mm film, and I'm going to come over to Effects Controls panel. If you've been following along and you watched yesterday's tutorial and on Monday, we've been using a lot of the blend mode and we've been only really focusing on these effect controls. And today is going to be different, but we're still going to be in this window. So you'll see that there's a blend mode option here. And right now it's set to normal. And so the way that I like to go about this is I just kind of play around with a lot of these blend modes to see which one fits best with what I'm looking to achieve. And what I want to achieve is I want that footage to fall underneath that Super 8mm, but I still want that Super 8mm frame to be present in the sequence. So we're going to come to normal. Let's try multiply. And okay, that looks kind of cool, but I think we're still losing some of that corner here. So let's go down to, let's go maybe overlay. Overlay is not quite what we want. Let's go to darken. So you sort of just come in here and you start playing around with some of these options. Screen. Let's go multiply. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually scale this out because right now all we're seeing is our clip. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually adjust some of these parameters. Let's go 50%. Okay. And let's see what we did here. And I thought I had a multiply on there. I think what we actually want to do is right now, the reason we're not seeing that is because these clips are scaled way too big for our Super 8mm film. So I'm going to scale this out. And let's look at what we have now. So if we scale this out, scale this back out, so we're going to scale our frame out because we do want to see this whole frame, right? And I like the way that's looking right there. And before we keep going, I just want to hop over to the chat. Again, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to head over to behance.net/Adobe Live, where we do these daily live streams every single day. And you can join the chat like everyone is today and ask as many questions as you like. Hello, Philip. Hello, Laura. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's nice to have everyone here. And Philip says he's jealous of my facial hair. So I appreciate that. I sometimes wish it wasn't as long as it is, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. And Philip, you have a question. The question here is about exporting a video so the background can be keyed in OBS or other streaming software. I think that's a bit more of a complicated answer, but the short answer to that is when you're exporting, it's more out of After Effects. I'm not exactly sure if you can do it in Premiere, but you would essentially export an alpha channel. So that alpha channel is almost like a PNG that gives you this transparent background. And that way you can put that footage or whatever you have on top of a background. So that's the short answer. I know it's kind of a lot more complicated than that. So let's hop in again. Thank you everyone for joining, and let's just get right back into the sauce here, guys. We have a lot that I want to get to. I'm ambitious in 25 minutes, but I think it's cool to pack as much as we can into the time we have together. Okay, so sometimes when you're doing a live tutorial, you forget exactly what you did. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to see exactly what I had done and why I'm not. Oh, I know why. This might be a different frame. Okay, well, here we go. I used a different asset. This also looks very cool, but I'm going to delete this. And I actually have another Super 8mm frame that I'm going to drag in instead. And this is the frame we want because we want to key our footage out of this frame here. So I'm going to drag this on. Silly James, what are you doing over here? Trying to do too much. Okay, so again, we now can't see what we need to see for a number of reasons. First, it's too zoomed in. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Effects Controls, and we're going to scale this out. Now we can see that really cool little Super 8 film blip, film stock, whatever we want to call it. And we're going to play around with these blend modes once again. So we're going to go to normal, and I'm going to go to multiply. And now, oh my goodness, we have magic happening in front of our eyes, guys. This is amazing. Okay, and now with multiply, what we've done is we've cut that white out. We've essentially blended and screened that out. And because it was white on black background, we now have our footage directly underneath. And just that alone makes this feel so much more vintage, so much more just old school. And I really, really dig it. So I'm going to actually move this frame up. Actually, let's leave it where it is. And let's say I want to add another element on top of that. We can continue to stack these overlays on top of each other. So over here, again, if you wanted to actually go into another like view rather than list view, you'd come in here, we click icon, and we go to our overlays. So now you can actually see exactly what we have. And I like these light leaks. Again, light leaks, you can create your own. Sometimes it's easier to just purchase packs from other creators. There's plenty of free downloads on YouTube. And again, Adobe stock, I'm sure, has their fair share of light leaks as well. So I really like this amber transition because it has that warm vibe I'm going for. And I'm going to just take this same clip here and I'm going to drag the entire light leak right on top of my Super 8 film. Okay. And once again, we notice that we can't see anything. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the same thing. And you have to play around with these blend modes because depending on the asset you're using, those blend modes may vary. So for me, I think this is probably going to be a screen mode, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And it's a screen mode. So if I play this back, we're going to just make sure this is at like a quarter speed. So very, very cool. But I think it's too apparent. It's way too bright. It kind of blows everything else out because that light leak is meant to sort of come in and wipe the frame. But I just want the subtlest hint of that light leak to exist. So because I've now expanded my timeline, if I go Shift plus on a Mac, that's the shortcut to expand both the audio and the video. And that way I can actually see my parameters here. And I'm just going to pull this down. And what this is doing is adjusting the opacity. So I'm going to pull this opacity down to, I don't know, let's say like 33%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press P on my keyboard, and this is going to create give me the pen tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bunch of points just right here on this line. The reason I like to do this is I'm going to actually pull these points up and down to just create sort of this random curve, and that's bringing the opacity in and out, and just creating more of an organic flow to this light leak instead of just what was given to me, um, with the purchase. So I'm going to just drag this out. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Maybe let's pull this down all the way. Let's go really high. Maybe we'll add one more, and you can just play around with what feels good to you as you're going through your sequence here. And now, because we ran out of our duration, I'm just going to copy this transition. I'm going to hold Option on my keyboard. I'm going to drag this over, and we're going to snap this into place. And now we've extended our light leak. I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to just kind of do the same thing with more of these points so that we create that random transition that we're going for. Okay. So now what we've done is we've added a Super 8 kind of burn frame on top of our footage. We've built all of our footage first. Remember, that's important. We've put the 8mm frame on top, and we've added some nice light leaks that are kind of sporadically coming in and out of the frame. But I'm not totally satisfied. I feel like there's maybe one more thing that we can add to just really give it something even better, and maybe like some dust and scratches on some old film grain. So I'm going to go command minus. Command minus will shrink your video timeline, and then Option minus will shrink your audio timeline. Just some good little tricks. And I'm going to go over here to where I have dust overlay, and I love these sort of assets. So it's a very short asset, but it's sporadic enough where you're not really going to know if it's repeated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this asset over onto my footage, and I'm not going to actually have that dust overlay the entire duration of my sequence because I think it'll seem like there's too many dust and scratches. I just want them in a few subtle areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this up. Same sort of approach to taking that opacity down. Let's say I'm going to pull the opacity. Let's go like maybe 40%. I'm going to go Option and drag another dust and scratches over in between the clip. So now you can see that we have this really nice dust and scratch action on top of this clip, and we're just making it feel super grungy, super vintage. I'm loving the way it's looking already. And let's go maybe one more at the end, and we'll pull the opacity all the way up so we get like a really cool little dust and scratch here. Okay. So now we have achieved 3 different assets. Very easy to overlay these. The nice thing with these dust and scratches, let's see, this one I actually probably need to, oh, sorry, James, I forgot one important detail. Everyone at home, make sure to let me know in the chat here, but our blend mode has not changed, right? So if I drag this up, all we see is black. So we got to make sure that even if we drag that opacity down, we are adjusting our blend mode. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to screen, or let's go to multiply. Let's bring our opacity all the way up. So that's not it. Let's go to screen. Screen. How about color burn? Nope, it's not that. Let's go lighten maybe. Soft light. Okay, so soft light is the blend mode that we want, and that's because now it blends into what we have here. But again, I'm still going to just bring this opacity down, and I'm going to do that for the other 2 here. So we're going to go soft light. We already brought that opacity down, and again, soft light on the end. So in a very short amount of time, we've now created a really unique kind of fun little sequence with these cameras. We've added our Super 8 template sort of thing right here that already adds a lot of vibes and flavor and this cool vintage look. We've added some amber transition light leaks, and then we've added the dust and scratches on top of it. So it's a great place to start and a really awesome, unique sequence. So if we look back at kind of all the other elements that I've added to it, I feel like overlays are important as the visual, but the one thing I really like about this kind of vintage style is the sound design that complements it. So if I were to go into what I've already created, and again, we may run out of a little bit of time here today, but if I solo the track, and we play back just this first couple seconds, you're going to hear all the little Foley and sound design that I created to go along with these dust and scratches and the overlays. So I'm just going to play this back. So you can hear so many little sound effects that are going on. And little hack, I just recorded all of the sound right from this microphone last night. And when I was working on this video, just using the camera that I had. And in a lot of cases, it's best to, recreate the scene the way that you would actually hear it. And it gives that little bit more detail that people tend to miss. And you really do hear it when you play that back. So let's just play it back non-soloed with the music to go along with it. Right. So we hear in here, I'm going to solo this track. This is me just kind of creating some Foley with the actual camera itself. And then I pulled this track in. It gives it something unique and different that is more than just the music. So if I go into my project here and I go to this Foley folder, when you're actually recording audio, this is probably for a different lesson. But if, let's say, we actually wanted to record audio in here straight from this microphone, and we wanted to maybe add in some voiceover, or we wanted to add in some sound effects to match our overlays here, there's a button down here called voiceover record. You would just make sure that in your Premiere preferences, the microphone you want to record with is selected. And when you press record, you're going to get a countdown. And when it hits one, you're now recording voiceover, or you're recording whatever sort of audio that you want to have recorded on your timeline. So it's a really great way to just record straight into Premiere if you're looking for sound effects. If you don't have a microphone and you're looking to just source sound effects from another place for videos like this, Epidemic Sound, as I mentioned yesterday, is a great place for that. Adobe Stock, I believe, has some sound effects under this audio tab. I'm not sure as to how many, and the wide variety, but you can find a lot of different sound effects for this type of video very, very easily. And again, the source files that I've linked below in the description has some of this Foley and has some of the sound effects, so you can kind of start playing around on your own. Okay, so let's continue here. I know we're packing a lot in. If anyone else has questions, please feel free. So we can continue to answer them for you. But other than that, I'm going to just try to keep going here in the last couple minutes. So again, what I've done down here is I've added a few adjustment properties and adjustment layers, which you can do right here in your project window. And I'm going to show you right here. I'm just going to mute this audio track. And I've actually zoomed all the photos in. So I think that gives another really nice feature. And I've just done that on a transform property. So I've added an adjustment layer. So you right click and you go new item and adjustment layer. And what that does is it allows you to globally adjust all of the clips that are underneath that adjustment layer. And I've named this transform because all I've done, and if you were here on Monday, we talked about keyframing. All I've done is I've gone to my effects panel and I type in transform. Oops. And this is an effect that allows me to actually use the scale properties globally on one adjustment layer. And so what I've done is I've dragged that onto here, and then I've gone up here in my effects controls panel, and I've just slowly scaled with these keyframes this whole sequence in. So I don't actually have to scale each one of these film photos individually. I can actually just come in here and I can create that slow zooming effect. And right now it's just affecting the film photos and not all of my other filters and overlays that sit above it. So if I were to actually pull this up, it would actually affect the entire sequence. So what we can see here is I'm zooming in and I'm actually losing a lot of that Super 8 filter. So I don't want that. And that's why I actually had the adjustment layer underneath those overlays. So another little hack, and we're going through it very quickly today because there are a lot of things happening in this timeline. But the main thing that I want everyone to take away from this tutorial today is just how easy it is to use these assets to create really awesome overlays. Again, dust and scratches, light leaks, film burns, film grains, you name it. There's a wide world out there of assets that you can use to create looks like this. And we did it in a very short amount of time with, limited clips and limited resources. So again, the most important thing, blend mode, make sure you're building your sequence first and then layering those overlays on top of each other. And then playing with the opacity, playing with the timing, playing with your own style and what feels right to you. So again, it's an awesome technique. Something again I'm very passionate about. It would make a great Instagram reel, which we will be talking about tomorrow. So you might see some of these clips again in more of a vertical format. And yeah, so as we kind of conclude here, I just want to let everyone know, thank you so much for joining us and joining me on this awesome weekly video challenge that we're bringing your way every day. And we want to definitely see more of your work. I mean, we're here as a community, so make sure that you are a part of this Creative Cloud community for video. Submit your work, get involved, learn from others. It's an amazing resource, an amazing place. And again, there's great resources and tons of other information in the description below, to Discords, communities, just more videos, and a lot of other programs that are fun to download. So make sure to check those links out and continue to learn in Adobe Premiere Pro and the Creative Cloud platforms. That is it for me today. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow.